My name is Peter Taylor. I've been working as a reporter on Panorama on and off for, would you believe, 28 years? For Panorama, I've covered many topics over the years, but I suppose the one that I've covered more than any other is the issue of terrorism and political violence. It started off, obviously, when I joined Panorama in 1980, looking at the conflict in Northern Ireland, which I've now covered for around about 40 years. But also it evolved after 9/11 into looking at the different kind of terrorism that's represented by al-Qaeda and Islamist extremism. What I've always tried to do is to get behind the mask, get behind the faces of the so-called terrorists, and I think that has been something that I've concentrated on and tried to bring some sort of understanding to our audience about over so many years. My first investigation for Panorama was way back in 1980 when I made a programme on the tobacco industry called A Dying Industry, and when I looked at the way that the tobacco multinationals were operating in the third world. So it's not just terrorism and political violence that I've concentrated on, but I've also looked at health issues too. Yes, I have been scared on one or two occasions. The one in which perhaps I was most on edge was when we were ambushed by guerrillas, terrorists, call them what you will, when we were making a panorama on the Israeli withdrawal from South Lebanon in 1985. We were driving through an orange grove with an Israeli convoy, and we were attacked. The convoy was bombed, and then the insurgents or the resistance opened up with AK-47s from the orange groves, and I can still smell the orange blossom even today. And I was pushed into a ditch, and the bullets started flying. And I remember thinking, I always wondered what it would be like to be under fire, and now I know, and I'm still alive. And the first thing I thought about was my colleagues who were filming in the vehicle behind me. Were they still alive? And if they weren't, how come I was alive? And I felt guilty. And the second thing, obviously, was thoughts of my wife and my children. Panorama is very special to me because I've been working on it for an awful long time, and it remains, to my mind, the very best place in television to examine, investigate and analyse the great issues of our time, issues which are important not just domestically to our viewers but internationally to our viewers, and I think that Panorama is the best place on British television to do it, and in my experience has been for many, many years.